Hello everyone. I want to tell you how I went from not really being in the news at all to now being interviewed over 100 times every year for the past several years without really ever pitching myself. Hi, my name is Laura Forsick. I'm the executive director of boutique space consulting firm Astralytical, which helps businesses, government entities, and nonprofits to grow in space. Before I started my company, I was interviewed in the news maybe once every 2 or 3 years. When I started my space consulting company, I realized that getting publicity through the news was actually a way of organically marketing my company, natural promotions through being quoted rather than having me pay for advertisement. I really set out a goal to be interviewed in the news more frequently than I was, to become a thought leader in the space sector. That first year of my company, I was interviewed twice. The second year of my company, I was interviewed 11 times. That's almost monthly. I was thrilled. Third year of my company, I was interviewed 32 times. So I was really starting to gain momentum. Fourth year of my company and every single year since, I am interviewed over 100 times. I don't even count anymore. I am talking to reporters every week. I'm getting requests that I sometimes turn down because it's too much. And so I want to tell you how I managed to do this in case you want to do the same thing. I don't expect everyone to go down this same path. This is the path that I went down. There are many paths to get to this point of becoming a news source, but this is the way I did it. So I want to tell you what worked for me. Number one, speak out, become visible. So for me, the avenue that I chose was Twitter. I didn't have a Twitter following. I didn't even tweet at that point, but I started to do a little bit of informal writing through blogging, and I wanted to just speak out about what I was writing about, as well as other topics in the space news. And I did not shy away from controversy or hard takes. I, at that point, realized that working for myself meant that I didn't have to be accountable to anybody but myself. So I was in charge of the PR that came from the words that I tweeted. And so I kept telling it the way that I saw it, giving the takes that I saw, the analysis that I saw, really going through those space topics and saying things that other people weren't necessarily saying. And through that visibility, people started to notice me, and Twitter is a really good platform for space journalists. I started following space journalists. I started interacting with space journalists. Before I knew it, I had journalists reaching out to me for quotes. Again, not too much in the beginning, just twice that first year, 11 times that second year, but it kept going. It kept building. My following increased, and I kept speaking out. I now speak out in other platforms such as YouTube. I have, tiny followings on other social media platforms, but I keep speaking out. And that, to me, is the most powerful way to get your message heard, is to speak the truth as you see it, to break down that analysis, to do the things that other people are not doing, or to do it in a way that is true to you. Now, Twitter is not for everyone. So if Twitter is not your preferred method of speaking out, you can write publications, whether that's peer-reviewed journals or op-eds or blogging or some other way, getting yourself out there, freelance writing. It could be podcasting. It could be YouTubing. It could be some other means of a platform that you build upon. Maybe you're a TikToker or an Instagrammer. Whatever it is that you choose, begin speaking out and really commit yourself to that platform. Be consistent on it. Don't be afraid to really stand up and get noticed on that particular platform. There are other methods you might want to try to help you get noticed by journalists. One is to pitch. You can do cold pitching to journalists or to editors, and there is a right and wrong way to do this. Now, the only time I ever pitch to journalists is when I have recently published one of my 2 books, and I am working on a 3rd book, but that is the only time I reach out to journalists, to podcasts, to any publication that I think might be interested in the topic of my book. Another way that you might be able to get noticed by journalists is to sign up for something called HARO, Help a Reporter Out. They send you emails by category that will have a list of topics that reporters are looking for sources for. And very rarely is there actually a space-related topic, but occasionally you will find something of interest and you can respond to those solicitations and help a reporter out. Other platforms that you might consider would be speaking. There are a lot of people who travel quite consistently and get on stage and are able to increase their visibility through speaking at conferences and other platforms. And you might find that reporters naturally come to you either before, during, or after those speaking engagements to get your opinion on the subject that you spoke of or a related subject. Another option might be to hire a professional public relations or publicity manager that can help you to get connected with the right sources. I occasionally get cold solicitations from people asking me to pay them a fee to get them in touch with journalists. I consider these scams. It's really very easy and completely free to reach out to journalists. Number 2, say yes. So a lot of times, especially women, we get approached to be quoted, be interviewed by the news media, and we say no because we feel self-conscious. We wonder why anyone should listen to us. We wonder why we are the source that they're going to when there are so many other people who could speak more intelligently on the subject. But that is the wrong way to approach it. These journalists have reached out to you for a reason. And whatever that reason is, that's up between them and their editor. That's not for you to decide, no, actually, I'm a terrible source. I don't think you should quote me. Let them make that decision. So you go ahead and say yes. When I am approached, I always say yes unless I am truly, truly unfamiliar with the topic or not comfortable discussing it. So there are some subjects in the space realm that I'm not going to touch, but in general, if it is at all related to space and I can speak intelligently about it, then I'm going to say yes to it. If it's a topic that I'm less familiar with, I will let the journalists know that. In fact, I did this just a couple of days ago. I said, I'm really not the best person to speak about this. I don't have this expertise, but here's what I think about the subject anyway. And I let them make the decision whether or not to include my words in their articles or in their publications. Number 3, speak intelligently. Yes, I just said that you need to say yes to a lot of these opportunities, even if you don't think you are the best resource to be quoted. But if you do say yes, and if you are given that platform, then don't mislead people. Don't lie. Don't misrepresent what you know. Speak to what you know. Do some research ahead of the interview if you're just not familiar with the subject enough to feel confident. Ensure that your sound bites or your quotes are actually worthy content of being published. That way people understand and appreciate that you really are a good subject matter expert. And they will see your quotes and they'll be inspired to reach out to you for further opportunities. And number 4, respond quickly. I was never a journalist, but I did do some journalism training in undergraduate when I was the editor-in-chief of our student newspaper. And I know how often journalists are on deadlines. And if a journalist is reaching out to you, then you respond as quickly as you can. Don't sit on it. Go ahead and say yes and get that interview scheduled as quickly as possible so that they're not waiting on you. If they're waiting on you, chances are your time is going to be too late, or they're just going to move on to a different source thinking that you are no by default. So you don't want that to happen. You don't want people to think that you're unreliable. I am often contacted because people know that they can come to me last minute and I will say yes to them and give them a quote. Also, if there is a specific time, if it's a live event, live TV, live radio, then you need to be reliable there too. Know that that is an absolute deadline and you need to be there several minutes ahead of time, whatever they tell you, so that you can be live on air. Get yourself a reputation of being reliable. And that's it. That is the secret to my success. It is pretty straightforward and it snowballs. 4 years isn't that quick, but now every year it is snowballed where more and more people, both within the space industry, within space publications and outside of space publications, come to me asking me for quotes, asking me for my time to be on air. And it really is very rewarding. The primary reason I do it is because it is fun, and hopefully you'll get the opportunity to realize just how fun it is in your journey of becoming a thought leader. One of the things I do is executive coaching for people who want to become thought leaders in the space industry. If this is something you want to work on, if you want to get known in the space industry, then please reach out to me. I will help you to move forward with your leadership goals. So contact me at lauraforsyth.com.